which Walkabout Mini Golf VR DLC is the best one. Let's rank all the optional courses and find out. I spent hours breaking down each DLC, playing them through, finding all the balls and solving the fox hunts, and getting input from my community over in Discord before breaking the ranking criteria into 5 main categories. I'll explain the details of each category in the description, but I spent a lot of time balancing the points of each course against each other so that the scores are as unbiased as possible. Although I definitely have my favorite ones, and I'll make sure you know which ones that is. For a better comparison and overview, I will present the DLC series together and deliver the scores for each map in mostly chronological order. This also means that the courses won't be presented in order of ranking, so don't go skipping to the end to try and find out which one got the most points. Gardens of Babylon was the first DLC ever released and is part of the Lost Cities series. The age of the map is easy to spot, and although it is beautiful in its simplicity, it has more in common with the base game courses than the recent DLCs. The gameplay is what you would expect from a mini golf course and has excellent flow, making it easy to understand where to go next and what to expect when hitting the first hut. Shangri-La has a similar flow, but this is the most bland and graphically uninteresting of all the DLC maps. Although the night sky displayed in the hard mode is beautiful and soothing, there's really not much that make me fall in love with this map. Shangri-La introduces a variation in the surface friction, where the ball will move a lot slower on sand than on the regular green. It also has good competitive balance, which means it's fine to be the first person on the tee box. Something that can be a huge disadvantage in some of the maps we'll look at later. Eldorado immediately captured my attention with its lush green space, and the mystery of the map is amplified by the transformation of the hard mode. Although there are no special features that change how the ball behaves, the map introduces interesting jump or bounce mechanics and adds more variation to the gameplay with the option of several high-risk, high-reward moves. Although Eldorado might not be the highest scoring map, it is my personal favorite of all the Lost Cities. My feelings for Atlantis are a bit more complicated. Besides the giant whale and shark swimming around, making me feel fairly uneasy.
He's even bigger.
It can be confusing to know where to go next, and the 18th hole was a huge letdown.
That was 18?
As it's usually something spectacular or at least more extravagant than the rest of the course. Atlantis is, however, absolutely gorgeous, and I love the details of the water ripples and those super cute air bubbles coming out of the cup. The graphics gets even more impressive during the night in hard mode, and I enjoyed how the fox hunt told me the story of the lost city, its inhabitants, and its gods. I so badly wanted to love Temple of Cersura, as I have been a huge fan of ancient Egypt ever since I was a little girl. The gameplay is competitively balanced, and the blown-in sand makes for fun high-risk, high-reward opportunities. However, the graphics are underwhelming, and the hard mode feels more like chaotic spam rather than an interesting visual variation. I have personally found this to be the hardest DLC to find all the hidden balls, and although the clues of the fox hunt were done in a cool and unique way, the clues and the story they told were underwhelming. However, I do have to give a shout out to hole 18 on hard mode, as it is everything I want for a final course challenge. By the way, if the terms like lost balls and fox hunts means nothing to you, then don't worry. I have a video that describes everything in detail, and I will link it in the description so you can check it out later. Although the candy and pastel colors in Sweetopia might seem overly, sweet and feminine at first, this map awakes a lot of nostalgia and has become one of the favorite of many community members. The graphics are interesting, and it's easy to recognize several of your favorite treats from growing up, at least if you're an older millennial like myself. The map introduces some interesting visual illusions and moving obstacles, as well as different surface patterns that can make shots a bit more difficult to navigate. For my fellow ball chasers and fox hunters, this course falls a bit short, as the balls are very easy to find, and the fox hunt fails to bring anything extra to the map experience, except for a lot of frustration after being stuck on that one clue for almost 30 minutes. And if you're curious as to why some of the maps got the different scores that they did, just definitely let me know in the comments and I'll share. I just left out any detail that didn't help set the different courses apart from each other. When I first played Jim Henson's Labyrinth, I was not familiar with the popular 1986 film, so a lot of the references in the design was lost on me. Fortunately, I was playing with a friend who's a huge fan of the movie, and she was able to explain some of the features and puzzles as we went along. Although the map is visually interesting and offers a variety of obstacles to navigate, it is a big disadvantage to be the first on the tee box more than once, and some of the holes has to be solved by trial and error.
It jumped back out.
Unless you've seen the movie and recognize the references. I managed to watch a trailer of the movie before going to play hard mode, and I really appreciate the beautiful change in design to mimic the wedding scene, and the fox hunt provided even more insight. However, I suspect that this map will be much higher on the list of anyone familiar with the movie than for those of us who are not. Next, we travel to the mysterious island of Mist, filled with interactive objects and puzzles honoring the classic 1993 computer game. Even if you're not familiar with the Mist series, this DLC is a playground for anyone who enjoys puzzles and exploring more of the maps than just the mini-golf. Every single hole introduces a new dynamic element, and it's often hard or even impossible to know what will happen before you hit the ball. The fox hunt is themed on the original game's plot, and because we explored so much during the first time playing through, it was relatively easy to solve. Mist is one of my personal favorite DLCs, but if you're hoping to par the course on the first playthrough, this one's likely not for you. Jules Verne is a famous French author who published several best-selling adventure books, 3 which are now Walkabout Mini Golf DLC courses. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea stands out with its rich details and many features to look at and take in. The course introduces a new mechanic where steam either pushes or pulls your ball in different directions. The design has good flow and brings you through all the different areas of an underwater vessel. It leads to tons of visual variation. Although visiting the dark ocean side outside of the vessel was triggering my aquaphobia, the atmosphere, playing through the story via the fox hunt, and the visual details has made this map one of my top DLCs. But I have to warn you, the 18th hole on hard mode is not for those without an extra cup of patience. To get to the center of the earth, you need to hit your ball off cliffs and edges, sometimes without an end in sight. This holiday season, I introduced my aunts to VR for the first time by playing this course, which turned out to be a huge mistake, as I had no idea she was afraid of heights. But once you get down, the beautiful graphics of the different biomes makes for a competitive and enjoyable experience. I really appreciate the addition of the dinosaurs and the fun finale on hole 18. Hard mode also introduced a unique feature of the headlamp to light up your surroundings, adding even more mystery to the journey to the center of the earth. I suspect that I can be frustrating to play Walkabout Mini Golf with at times. I love exploring every little detail, which is why it would likely take me much longer than 80 days to travel around the world. Although each hole is unique and with different challenges, there's no disadvantage to going first, and the course has great flow. I enjoy the fireworks of the night sky and how the fox hunt provided more context to the course and the story behind it. The challenge of this fox hunt also stands out by testing your geographical knowledge and your sense of direction. Upside Down was the first Walkabout Mini Golf DLC I truly fell in love with, as it is everything I think a VR mini golf course should be. Although the course only contains one dynamic feature, the glowing boxes are used at every hole to play with the properties of gravity in an innovative and fun way. This is something only available in VR, which makes the experience of Upside Down something truly unique. Having to hit the ball from all kinds of angles has led me to laugh more than any other course, and although it might require you to be a bit more flexible in both how you hit your ball and how you place your body to do it, this DLC just knocks it out of the park. Leaving the mind-bending city behind, it is time to travel to another island, one that hosts the head of the supervillain society, Lair. Laser Lair introduces one new obstacle you have to maneuver around on every hole. A laser that cuts your ball in half and makes you repeat your shot. This is a course that will test your timing as much as your aim. I highly recommend taking a train ride, as there is so much to explore on this island. And fortunately, there is not just one, but 2 box hunts that will help you do so. The most recent Walkabout Mini Golf DLC allows you to infiltrate this second evil lair, where Dr. Svetlana is eager to prove her evilness with a giant freeze ray. As you move through the course, you get to test the effectiveness of smaller freeze rays by having your ball frozen into an ice cube, all while the doctor's henchmen watch you and take notes. The addition of ice as a surface leads to a lot of variety in the gameplay. Still, I wish the movements of the ice cubes on the green section would be more predictable, as the bounces add a risk of randomization that can be frustrating to deal with. And although the ice is not my favorite mechanic in this game, the course is making me excited to see what the doctor behind the final evil lair is scheming. The next course is my absolute favorite, but there's a few reasons why it's not getting enough points to make it to the top of the list. Alfheim is a combination of beauty and elegant design. With zero gimmicks or moving parts, it's easy to pass it off as plain and boring, but the course is everything but that. Each hole has a unique geometric design where, if you hit the curves just right, your ball will be guided straight to the hole. This is also a course where you can hit your ball a lot harder than on most others, something I am personally a big fan of. My favorite part about the course is how the hard mode makes you play the course in reverse, something that seems like such a small detail, but really adds to the experience. I am absolutely terrified of spooky games, which is why it took me a long time to build up the courage to play Widow's Walkabout. And wow, do I regret it. This spooky DLC combines a ton of features, making every hole vastly different from the previous one, but without putting the first putter at a disadvantage. The atmosphere is spooky, but not in a way where I want to tear my handset off and run away. Except for the dolls. I could manage without the dolls. I absolutely love the black and white design in hard mode. The fox hunt had some really tricky parts to it, but it made me feel like I was playing a part in a movie. And it had the most beautiful ending of all of them. So yes, I truly regret not playing Widow's Walkabout sooner. Where Widow's Walkabout bring a ton of features in a predictable and competitive way, Meow Wolf is the exact opposite. Each hole has a unique mechanic and feature, but you're often forced to just hit the ball and see what happens. Even after playing it through once, it's not always clear what to expect. Meow Wolf is a collaboration with a company that creates large and interactive art installments, and a walkthrough of the real-life world feels very much like walking through the Walkabout Mini Golf course. Visually, this map is a masterpiece, although I did find the experience of it all a bit overwhelming. This is the DLC that steps the furthest away from your typical mini golf game, and some holes don't even have a hole. But if you're looking for something obscure, visually superior, and a unique experience, then Meow Wolf is right for you. Walkabout Mini Golf VR DLCs is just one part of the game. And even though I recommend that you get all of them, the game offers so much more than just fancy courses. Check out this video right here to make sure that you're not missing out on any of the fun.